Hello dear students, today we'll be discussing the part 2nd and 3rd of Atithi by Rabindranath Tagore. Starting off, in the afternoon the boat set sail. Annapurna continued to ask the boy kind questions about his home and family. He answered laconically and then went out on deck to escape. Firstly, write down the meaning of laconically. That means in a very precise manner, in very few words. From this, we get to know that Tarapada was a boy of few words. Whenever Annapurna would ask him about his family or anything related to that, the boy would say just in a very few words, whatever the question was asked, 1, 2, 3 words, and that was the answer given by the boy. This shows that he was not interested in revealing much about his family background and all. So it also reveals that Tarapada was a boy of few words, which is also reflected in the beginning that was covered by Ma'am Prabjeet, right? Tarapada took refuge on the roof of the boat in the shade of the sail. Now in the next paragraph you see here, the lines that are written, they describe about the landscape around when the boat was sailing, all the view that came by when the boat was a sail. What were the views? Let us have a look at it quickly. This is basically they are talking about the vegetation all around. That is sloping pastures, flooded jute fields, green, rippling late autumn paddy, narrow paths leading from the ghats and villages shaded by encircling foliage. That is basically the vegetation, the greenery all around they are describing here. The natural beauty they are describing in here came one by one into the view. To this water, earth and sky, this movement of life and sound, these varied levels and vast vistas, these pleasant views that are being described here, to this huge, immovable, mute, unblinking natural world. Children, when we talk about natural world here, this is something that is unaffected. Natural world continues with its daily chores without being unaffected with what is happening around, right? So this is the beauty of nature, right? The boy was intimately attached and linked. We can say here Tarapada was deeply connected to the landscape's beauty, the natural beauty. The boy was very well attached. We know that the boy's stars had in store for him his wanderlust was the reason why he ran away from his home at the age of 7 or 8, which shows that he wanted to, experience something beyond the tangible. That is what is being talked about here, that he was always lured by natural beauty and he was always happy in the lap of nature. He enjoyed being in nature. As he sat, he soon got talking with the helmsman and oarsmen, the people who were rowing the boat. Sometimes he took the oars and punted the boat himself. When the helmsman needed a smoke, he would take the tiller. When the sail needed to be turned, he helped skillfully. From this, we get to know that the boy is very skillful. Every skill he is aware of. He can do every work from, cutting up the fish to cooking to doing every other task. Like here, he is helping the boatsmen. So everything he knows. He is a genius. Just before dusk, Annapurna called Tarapada and asked, "What do you like to eat at night?" As you can see, Annapurna is so much concerned about the boy. She has started feeling maternal feelings towards that boy, just like a mother is concerned and asks a child, "Now, what do you like to have for dinner?" or something like that. So is Annapurna trying to make her connection with Tarapada. That is what is reflected from here, dear students. Whatever I get, said Tarapada, I don't eat every day. Now children, here Tarapada is someone who is not much affected by whatever he'll be given. Whatever he is given, he can eat it. He is not someone who has a lot of wishes or, whims that I want this, I want that. No. Whatever he'll get, he'll eat it. That's what he says. She felt disturbed by this beautiful Brahmin boy's indifference to her hospitality. Now Annapurna felt that, she is asking the boy what he likes, but still the boy is not, showing any kind of concern towards what the lady's hospitality she is trying to portray. She longed to feed, clothe and give succor to him. Means she is trying to show him her affection So this is her form of affection, trying to, caress the boy, giving him the food that he likes. But the boy seems not interested in all this. Then, continuing, but she could not discover how to please him. She wanted to please the boy, right? She ostentatiously sent her servants to buy milk and sweets. Now, ostentatiously here is to do something in an exaggerated way, right? That, excessively or trying to win over someone. So that is how she was doing. She was asking the servants to go out and get and fetch some milk and sweets so that she could win over the boy with her motherly feeling. Tarapada ate the sweets willingly enough, but he would not touch the milk. Maybe he didn't like milk at all. He liked sweets, so he ate. So he did everything according to his own volition. Nobody could compel him that, you have to have this. He would do everything on his own desires. That is what is seen from here. Even the taciturn Motilal, taciturn is someone who is not much, concerned about something, but even that Motilal urged him to drink it, but he simply replied, I don't like it. So the boy acted according to his own volitions. Right, moving ahead. 3 days passed. Tarapada expertly joined in everything, from the cooking and shopping to the sailing of the boat. Anything he saw interested him. Any work that he did absorbed him. His sight, his hands, and his mind were ever active. Like nature herself, he was always serene and detached, yet always busy. Even though he was busy doing the cooking or shopping or sailing the boat, yet he remained detached from the worldly ties. He did everything, whatever was required, yet he was detached. That is what is said here, just like nature. Alright. People usually dwell in a fixed place. But Tarapada was like a joyous wave on life's never-ending stream. Now it is said that if a person has a comfortable house, he would preferably live there rather than moving from one place to the other. People usually prefer comfort. But this Tarapada, this boy, this young lad Tarapada, whose wanderlust made him wander from one place to the other, didn't want to dwell at a particular place. From time to time, he shifted from one place to the other in order to know the meaning of life and existence. This is very important. Whenever the questions related to Tarapada you have to write, these certain words are important for you to write, like wanderlust, he is a wanderer. All these words, he wanted to know the meaning of life and existence. These are the prime keywords that need to be used in your answers. Now here Tarapada is compared to a joyous wave on life's never-ending stream. This shows that he was a person who wanted to live in the present moment, that is to enjoy every moment of life, right? Past or future meant nothing. Moving forward was the only thing that mattered. You didn't have to, look back at the past, what you did, what had happened. You just have to live in the present, not even worry about the future. So like that, he was compared to a joyous wave here. By mixing with various groups, he had learnt all sorts of delightful accomplishments. Things were stamped on his mind with astonishing ease, unclouded, as it was by any kind of worry. Now children, as you know, this boy, he was genius. He, in whichever skill he wanted to learn, he learnt it quickly. It is because that he was detached from the worldly ties that made it easy for him to grasp things quickly than others. He knew Panchali because he joined the group that we saw earlier, folk tales, kirtan and long pieces from yatras. Motilal Babu habitually read the Ramayana to his wife and daughter. One evening, he had just got to the story of Kush and love when Tarapada, unable to control himself, came down from the roof of the boat and said, "Put the book away. I know a song about Kush and love. Listen." Now the boy, he couldn't restrain back his skill within himself, that he knew a song about Kush and love and wanted to, sing and, express his song and make everyone listen it. He began a Panchali. The verse, sweet as a flute, flowed on swiftly. The helmsman and oarsmen came and peered through the door of the cabin. Means no one could resist listening to the beautiful music that flowed in the air. As dusk fell, a stream of laughter, pathos, and music spread through the evening air. Everyone was enjoying the music that Tarapada sang. The banks became alert, and people in passing boats were lured for a moment and strained their ears to listen. Means even the boats passing by, the people in those boats even, tried listening to the beautiful song that this boy was singing. When the Panchali had finished, everyone sighed deeply, wishing it would last forever. Means it was a soulful treat for everyone, the Panchali of the boy, that they didn't want it to end. The tearful Annapurna longed to take the boy and press him to her breast and bury her face in his hair. Means she wants to hug the boy just like a mother. But she couldn't because the boy doesn't connect with her that much. Motilal Babu thought, if I could somehow keep this boy, he would make up for my having no son. The little girl Charu Shashi, though, was full of envy and jealousy. The parents of Charu Shashi, that is Motilal Babu and Annapurna, have already started doting on the boy, and even the father of this girl, that's Motilal Babu, he feels that, if he wishes to keep the boy with him forever. Because children, in the ancient times, in especially the Indian history, we see, and even today it still continues, the longing for a male child in the family. Since they have no male child, so here Motilal Babu says that somehow he wanted to keep this boy so that it would make up for having no son. That is what is told here to us. Now everyone on the boat loves and likes this boy except for this 9-year-old girl, that is Charu Shashi, who is full of envy and jealousy. Now children, in the third part we'll get to know why is the girl so jealous of Tarapada. She was her parents' only child, sole claimant on their affection. There was no end to her willfulness and obstinacy. Again, very important. Willfulness and obstinacy. These two keywords ought to be there in your answers whenever they are asked, maybe in MCQs or in 1-mark question. You have to write these exact words whenever anything related to Charu Shashi is asked. So she was a single child of her parents and felt that all the love, all the affection should be showered on her by the parents, and anyone coming in her way, she felt very jealous of that person who would ever try to steal the love of that girl. She had her own opinions about food, clothes and hairstyles. Means she was a very fussy girl. But there was no consistency in them. Means one day she is liking one food or one dress, the other day she dislikes the same. So this is, that is said here, that there was no consistency in that. Whenever she was invited out, her mother was terrified that she would make impossible demands over dress. Even the mother would get, scared whenever she had to go out, this girl, that, the mother knew that whenever all this had to happen, the girl would make impossible demands over one thing or the other, and it would become very impossible for the mother to control her in that way. If a hairstyle displeased her, to do and redo it made no difference and merely led to a tantrum. So she was basically a girl who threw a lot of tantrums. She was like this with everything, but if she was in a good mood. Now, if she was in a bad mood, she would be very fussy, obstinate. But if she was in a good mood, she was amenable. Means you can, make her do anything. She was amenable to anything and would show excessive love for her mother, hugging her, kissing her, laughing in an unbalanced way. The girl was a puzzle. Means, you can see that whenever she is happy, she gets excessively happy, loves and kisses her mother. But when she is, she throws tantrum, she is just a different girl. So that is why it is said that the girl was a puzzle. This also can be asked in a 5-mark question. Describe how Charu Shashi was a girl, was like a puzzle, this girl. You have to describe this paragraph. But now her volatile feelings began to concentrate in fierce animosity, in fierce jealousy and enmity towards Tarapada, and she caused exceptional trouble to her parents because she didn't like her parents liking and showing their affection to Tarapada rather than the girl. At meals, she scowled and pushed her plate away. She would complain about the cooking, slap the maid, and object to everything. Obviously the tantrums of the girl are described about here. The more that Tarapada's accomplishments impressed her and others, the more angry she became. She would not admit that he had any virtues at all. Undeniable evidence of them made her even more critical. Means even if she tried denying the fact that he was, full of virtues, she would get even more angry because she didn't want this lad to take the credit and love of the parents. So that is why she was very jealous of him. On the night that Tarapada sang about cushion love, that is already discussed in the previous paragraphs, Annapurna thought, wild animals can be tamed by music, so perhaps my daughter will soften. Now the girl is compared to the wild animals, and here she wants that, music can be something that can be used to curb the girl. That is what is being described here. How did you like it, Charu? She asked the mother. Asked this question to Charu. She gave no answer, merely tossed her head, implying, I didn't like it at all and shall never like it. So the girl never wants to, enjoy anything Tarapada would do. She would never agree that yes, what Tarapada did was really beautiful and nice, because she hated the guy. Realizing that Charu was jealous, her mother stopped showing affection for Tarapada in front of her. After dark, when Charu had gone to bed after eating early, Annapurna would sit by the door of the cabin and Motilal Babu and Tarapada would sit outside, and at Annapurna's request, Tarapada would sing. With his singing, the goddess of the sleeping, darkened homes on the bank would sink into a trance. Means the beauty of his music, the melody of his music was so powerful and so mesmerizing that it could, that it had the ability to transform the place around you. And Annapurna's heart swelled with love and appreciation. But Charu would get up and shout tearfully and angrily, Mother, I can't get to sleep with this noise. She found it quite unbearable to be sent to bed on her own while her parents sat and listened to Tarapada singing. It had never been the time ever since she was with her parents that she had to go to bed without her parents, putting her off to sleep. This was the first time that the parents were sitting and enjoying Tarapada's music while she was, sleeping. So this was the first time. So she is not able to bear up all this anymore. This attitude of the parents that all the love is being showered upon that boy and the girl is being neglected. This is something that she doesn't like at all and therefore is jealous of the boy. The natural fierceness of this fiery black-eyed girl fascinated Tarapada. Now, why it fascinated Tarapada could be one reason, because wherever Tarapada went, everyone started doting on him, started showing special fuss for him, may it be the Jatra troupe or the Panchali singers, everywhere everyone started doting on him, started showing their affection and love towards him. Even this Motilal Babu and Annapurna also started showing their love and affection towards him, except for one person. That is this girl, Charu Shashi. So this was something that intrigued this boy Tarapada, and he wanted to win over her affection as well. He would tell her stories, sing her songs, play her the flute, make great efforts to win her round, but with no success at all. Only in the afternoons, when he bathed in the swollen river, sporting his fair pure body in a swimming display worthy of a young water god. In the starting, we have discussed how the boy looked like a sage, something like that, like sculpted by the sculptor, like that it's written in the beginning. So that is why again he is being compared to a young water god. The purity of the boy, the positive aura, we can say. Only then could she not help being attracted just a little bit when the boy would, bathe He would look like a young water god. Only then was the girl just a bit attracted to the boy. But even she would, try to not express her feelings openly. She would watch him then, but she didn't reveal her interest to anyone, and born actress that she was, because she didn't want to express her feelings, that she's liking the boy a bit, but she doesn't want to express it at all. So she'll be like this. Maybe when the boy is not looking, she'll be looking like this, but when the boy looks, she's again like this. This is the way, right? Moving ahead, she was carried on, born actress that she was, carried on knitting a woolen scarf with apparent indifference to Tarapada's water sports. Maybe she was paying full attention to how Tarapada is doing and how he's swimming and all, while knitting the woolen scarf. But whenever Tarapada would look, she would appear very intricately knitting the scarf, but actually her full attention was on the boy. So this is how born actress she was. Today we'll be covering part 4th of Atithi by Rabindranath Tagore. Now we'll start with it. Tarapada took no notice of Nandigram when they passed it. Earlier the boy had asked for a lift to Nandigram only, but now as Nandigram passed by, the boy never said that I want to get down from here. The boy now no longer wishes to go to Nandigram. The large boat, sometimes with its sails up, sometimes towed, proceeded slowly on, down rivers and tributaries, and the days of the passengers too flowed with a soft and easy pace through the peace and beauty of the scene. No one was in any kind of hurry. Long afternoons were spent bathing and eating, and as soon as dusk fell, the boat was moored at a village ghat by trees buzzing with crickets and aglow with fireflies. This is a general description, need not explain much in this. After about 10 days, after about how many days? 10 days of this, the boat arrived at Kathalia, that is the hometown of Charu Shashi, and where this Motilal Babu, they all live. Since children, we know that Motilal Babu is the Zamidar of Kathalia, so he was very warmly and grandly welcomed by the people of Kathalia when the boat reached Kathalia there. Ponies and palanquin were sent from the house to receive the Zamidar. Children, a palanquin is a big covered box-like vehicle, usually with a seat for a person. Usually when the bride and groom, they are married, the bride is taken in that vehicle in the ancient days, so that I hope you can relate, which in Hindi is known as doli, right? Were sent from the house to receive the Zamidar, a guard of honor with bamboo lathis. So the guard of honor was also sent, and with bamboo lathis they all were holding. Fired rounds of blanks, that is, they fired from the gun. The blanks were fired, means not aiming at any person. Blanks are just randomly shooting in the air. Raucously echoed by the village crows. Children, you must have seen that when a gunshot is, the echo of the gunshot is heard, usually the birds, they especially fly away or scatter in different directions. So that is what is described here. Meanwhile, Tarapada slipped off the boat and quickly looked round the village. Quickly he started making relations with everyone, calling one villager Dada. Now Dada is brother. In Bengali, it is said Dada for brother. Another Khurra. Khurra is uncle. Another Didi. Didi is a sister. And another Masi. Masi is aunt. You know very well what Masi is. He established friendly relations with everyone in a couple of hours. Because he had no normal ties, because he was not actually attached to anyone, so therefore it made him easy for him to, form relations quickly with everyone. He could get to know people with amazing ease and speed. Now this can be asked in 1 marks question, how he was able to establish friendly relations with everyone in a couple of hours. So because he was not attached to anyone, so therefore he could get to know people with amazing ease and speed. Within a few days, he had won all hearts. He mixed with everyone on equal terms. He was unconventional, yet able to adapt to any situation or work. With boys, he was a boy, yet somehow separate and special. With older people, he was not a boy, yet not too precocious. Precocious is not too mature, but not too naive like children. Between them, with elder people, he was that way. Either with herders, he was a herder, yet also a Brahmin. He joined in with things as if used to them all his life. He'd be chatting in the sweet shop. The sweet maker would say, "Could you mind the shop for a while? I shan't be long." Cool as cucumber means, cool as cucumber here, children, means that person is very calm and quiet, doesn't have ego at all. Tarapada sat there keeping the flies off the sweetmeats with a leaf. So he was, guarding the shop, the sweet shop, while the owner had gone for a while. He could even make sweets himself, knew something of weaving, and was not completely ignorant of how to turn a potter's wheel. So basically, he knew every skill that he had learned. He knew everything. Tarapada reigned over the whole village. There was just one young girl whose hatred he simply could not overcome, and we very well know who that girl is. That is Charu Shashi. Perhaps it was because this girl so fiercely wished him to leave that he stayed on so long, because he wanted to win over the girl. But Charu Shashi now proved how hard it is to fathom is understand, even a juvenile female mind, how difficult it is to understand a female mind. Bamun Thakurun's daughter Sona Mani had been widowed at the age of 5. Children, again, this story has been written before independence and all of that. So earlier what happened, there was a culture that, the girls, they were married off early. That is, child marriage was very prominent back then. So this is one of the example that the girl, she was widowed at the age of 5 only. This girl, Sona Mani, right? This can be asked, the age at which she was widowed, in MCQ questions. She was Charu's playmate. She had been ill for a while and had not been able to go out to see her friend. When she recovered and came to see her again, a rift between them came about for almost no reason. When Sona Mani, she got well, she came to see her friend Charu Shashi, but when they both met, a rift, a trifle basically, came up between the two. What was that? Charu had been speaking at length about Tarapada. Now this girl Charu, she thought that maybe Sona Mani is not aware of this boy Tarapada, whom his family had brought to Kathalia. But there is a plot twist here that you see. She hoped by saying what a precious asset he was to astonish and intrigue her friend. But when she discovered he was known to Sona Mani, that he called Bamun Thakurun Masi, and that Sona Mani called him Dada, that's brother, when she heard that he not only treated mother and daughter to kirtan tunes on his flute, but had, at Sona Mani's request, made her a bamboo flute, that he'd picked her fruits from high branches and flowers from thorny ones. When she heard all this, when this girl Charu Shashi got to know that how friendly this boy Tarapada had become with Bamun Thakurun and his daughter Sona Mani, this girl, she was at fire, we can say. Darts of fire stabbed her. She had thought of Tarapada as their Tarapada, means something like their possession. Tarapada, she felt. She was extremely angry knowing this. She felt that Tarapada only belonged to them, guarded closely so that ordinary people might glimpse him, yet never be able to grasp him. People can only just look over him from a distance. That is what she thought of, that as their Tarapada. They would admire his beauty and talents from a distance, and Charu Shashi's family would gain glory thereby. Why should Sona Mani have such easy contact with this singular, divinely favored Brahmin boy? Now the girl, this Charu Shashi, is very jealous. How that this Sona Mani is having such easy contact with this boy? If Charu's family had not taken him in, had not looked after him so, how would Sona Mani even have ever seen him? Sonamani's Dada indeed. Now she is not liking that, he is having such friendly relations with Bamun Thakuran and her daughter. She burned all over at the thought, knowing that this boy Tarapada was no longer their possession, but he was known to every other person. And also the Sonamani was also one of them. Knowing this, darts of fire started stabbing her from within. Why was the Charu, who had tried to strike the boy down with arrows of hatred, so anxious to claim sole rights over him? Although in front of Tarapada she would show animosity towards him, peak jealousy, but here she is trying to, take over the control of the boy, that, he belongs to us. Here she is showing that with a possession, that kind of jealousy, insecurity and possessiveness this girl is showing towards Tarapada right now. Understand this who will. Now here it is very difficult to understand this girl. Earlier it's also been talked about that she was a complete puzzle. Later that day, Charu had a serious rift with Sonamani over another trivial matter. She marched into Tarapada's room, found his beloved flute, and callously, means very cruelly, she jumped and stamped on it. She basically smashed the flute. She was still doing so when Tarapada came in. Means even when Tarapada came into the room, she was still, jumping on it and, crushing it cruelly. He was amazed by the image of destruction that the girl presented. Charu, why are you smashing my flute? He asked. I want to smash it. I'm going to smash it, shouted Charu with red eyes showing the fierceness in her, and flushed face, the anger within her boiling hot, and stamping unnecessarily on the already smashed flute. She burst into loud sobs and ran from the room. Unable to keep up with the anger anymore, she started crying. Tarapada picked up the pieces, turned them this way and that, but it was useless because she had very cruelly smashed it and it was no longer to arrange the pieces again. To wreak destruction means to destroy. Already the destruction that has been caused on his old innocent flute was so absurd. He felt that this behavior of Charu Shashi, it felt very strange to this boy Tarapada that he burst out laughing. Charu Shashi intrigued him more every day. Means this boy could not help but, he was more and more fascinated by the girl's behavior with each passing day. He was also intrigued by the English illustrated books in Motilal Babu's library. Tarapada had considerable knowledge of the world, but he could not enter the world of these pictures at all because he didn't know how to read English. He tried to do so in his imagination, trying to look at the pictures and trying to imagine what must be the imagination of the picture. From seeing the picture, whatever the writing is, he tried to imagine it but failed because he doesn't understand English, right? But found no satisfaction in this. Seeing his interest in these books, Motilal said one day, "Would you like to learn English? You'll understand these pictures then." "I would like to learn it," he replied at once. This shows that Tarapada was ready to gain or absorb knowledge from every way possible. From everywhere that he was able to learn any knowledge, he would grasp it quickly. That is the nature of this boy, that he loves to explore different things and he never wanted to stop learning. Motilal Babu happily engaged the headmaster of the village secondary school. The name of this person minded children, Ram Ratan Babu, to teach the boy English each morning. So Ram Ratan Babu, who was the headmaster of the village secondary school, was appointed to teach Tarapada English every evening. So with this we come to an end to the part 4. Thank you, dear students.